Mr. Speaker, this constitutional amendment is to end the violation of Article 46 of the Constitution that has taken place for more than 5 years in this Honorable House. To end the violation of the Constitution of St. Lucia, Order 1978. And for clarity, Mr. Speaker, I will read in the record chapter 46 of the Constitution of St. Lucia, and I can make it a document of the House if you want to.
Constitution is a document of the House.
Is it a document?
Yeah, it was passed in the House.
Okay. 36, Mr. Speaker, showing the violation and the abuse that I speak to. I read, Mr. Speaker. When the House first meets after any general election, of members, and before it proceeds to dispatch of any other business except the election of the Speaker, the House shall elect a member of the House who is not a member of the Cabinet or Parliamentary Secretary to be Deputy Speaker of the House. And if the office of Deputy Speaker falls vacant at any time before the next dissolution of Parliament, the House shall, as soon as convenient, elect another member of the House to that office. A person shall vacate the office of Deputy Speaker if he ceases to be a member of the House, if he becomes a member for the Cabinet or Parliamentary Secretary, or if he is elected to be Speaker. If by virtue of Section 44(3) of this Constitution, the Deputy Speaker is required to cease to perform his functions as a member of the House, he shall also cease to perform his function as Deputy Speaker. And if the Deputy Speaker resumes the performance of his function as a member of the House, in accordance with the provisions of that section, he shall resume the performance of his function as Deputy Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the Constitution of St. Lucia, Section 36. Speaks clearly to the fact that the House should elect a Deputy Speaker as its first business after a Speaker is selected after general election, Mr. Speaker. For 5 years, the last government never found it convenient to elect or to select or elect a Deputy Speaker. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because in trying to keep his party together, even if there were 11 seats in the Parliament, he had won 11 seats, everybody had to be given a ministry. Those elected and some non-elected. And there was not the courage of leadership to say to some person, we have to follow the dictates of the Constitution, or if not, we will have to amend the Constitution with the support of the opposition. But, Mr. Speaker, everybody had to be made a minister. Everybody. And you know, when you talk about leadership, Mr. Speaker, leadership is about asking people to follow you about things that are right. Things that are right. You understand? And when we won 13 seats, 13, I had the courage, and this morning I spoke about the measure of a man. I had the courage to ask the member for Mikunov, and I want to thank him, and I want to publicly acknowledge his courage and his love for people and his love for understanding. He accepted the position of deputy speaker. Even after he had created history, I tell you, Mr. Speaker, if I led a party that lost John Compton's seat, I would resign, you know. I mean, Sir John came from Mikunov, resign, come back, never campaign, win. In all times. In 79 he win. And he just use it, you know, and that's what I try and do. Just get up and go. You don't have to refuse to campaign, just win. And you lose that seat and you still want to lead that party? After all, bag point. Sir John seat, Mikunov. Mr. Speaker, when I started politics, you couldn't even think of having a meeting in Mikunov, you know.
That's true.
You couldn't even think of having a meeting in Mikunov. Mikunov was forbidden territory. You couldn't think of it. Your deposit, you were afraid. I remember the last candidate we run in Mikunov is a fellow called Civilus Jeffrey. Civilus Jeffrey put in his nomination papers at 1 minute to 12. That's when he went, you know. He just put his name, and Julian said to him, let's put your name there. Put your name. and he put his name in Mikunov, and then that was it. And you lose that seat in a time when you're in government.
Exactly.
I talk about leadership. I want to attack people. Mikunov. Anyhow. So, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution of St. Lucia, the great leader, speaks about in section 46 speaks about the deputy speaker, Mr. Speaker. So we appointed the member for Mikunov as the deputy speaker, Mr. Speaker. And we decided that there was an anomaly in that there's a perception that in politics, in the small island, that the backbench is not strong enough. There are only 17 members, the backbench is not strong enough. So every member, is not a pleasant experience. They don't want to be deputy speaker. Every member. But again, if you are a leader, you must have the courage to say to a man or a woman, you must be deputy speaker. So to clarify it, Mr. Speaker, we're doing it the right way. And that is the difference between us and them. There's a difference between us and them. We approach things in the right way. There is no back door. There is no bluff, no flashing mirrors. We do it the right way, Mr. Speaker. So we decided that we would amend the Constitution of St. Lucia, which allows us to amend it. Because, Mr. Speaker, what we are amending, we are keeping with section 41(1) of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, that provides for the alteration of provisions of the Constitution. An alteration may take the form of a revocation with or without reenactment, modification by omitting, amending, or inserting additional provisions, or suspension of a provision for a specified period according to section 12413 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Doing it the right way. Under section 41(6)(a), Mr. Speaker, of the Constitution, it says, unless there has been an interval of not less than 90 days between the introduction of the bill in the House and the beginning of the proceedings in the House on the second reading of the bill. Exactly what we did. We gave 90 days, in fact, gave 100 and something days for all discussion. Just like the CCJ. 90 days. That's what the Constitution says. 90 days. So you have 90 days for discussion. But if you involve in internal battles, you can't discuss national affairs. You can't. I understand that. Talk for yourself. I understand the fact that you cannot get involved in national debates if you involve in debate in your own party. So you have 90 days. 90 days, Mr. Speaker, to go out in public and debate the C. And I want to make a point, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, on the CCJ. The St. Lucia Labour Party never made any comment on the CCJ, apart from what we said in our manifesto and my budget speech. The St. Lucia Labour Party never, the St. Lucia Labour Party never made any comment on the CCJ because he wanted the debate to be open, to be clear, and free of all political manifestations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so we made sure that the amendment that we are making, Mr. Speaker, does not violate the Constitution in any way, Mr. Speaker. And this is part of the government's promise to review the Constitution to make it more relevant. To make it more relevant. Because in England, where we copied most of our Constitution from, the Speaker can be not a member of the House. In the UK. The Speaker is a member of the House, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker is a member of the House in the UK. So, Mr. Speaker, we saw that in our circumstance, part of the review of our Constitution, we should take what we thought were the low-hanging fruits that will make our Constitution more relevant to what's happening in our country. Now, Mr. Speaker, on constitutional reform, I want to make the point. You hear all the time from people who I hope do not know better. The Labour Party, the government is not interested in constitutional reform. The government, and most of the time we talk about the government as if we alone with the government, is the Labour Party. I want to put on the record, Mr. Speaker, a few letters that were written to the leader of the opposition. Because, you know, the leader of the opposition always claims self-righteousness. Oh, I wrote the Prime Minister 2 letters and he threw it in the rubbish dump. I don't know if you have cameras in my office. How do you know I threw it? I never said so. You can never hear I said so. You always say people say things that they never say. I never said I threw. Well, you think I will be so disrespectful and déclassé to ever say that you are being like in the rubbish dump? But that's what you used to do me in opposition. You used to just discard me. Ha 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 ha. That's what you used to do. You used to laugh at me when we used to call you downstairs to have meetings about the way the cabinet met. That's one thing. Stand back at me. That's how you treated me. To put gas in the car. You say no. And when you get in government, you try and put gas in it. That's what you did me. I won't do you like that. I won't do you that. You change your office. You change the office. You spend hundreds of dollars to change the office. Thousands to change the office. You didn't want to go where the people are. That's why I went. He was there. The lady was there. But you didn't want to go there. The lady was there. But I went there, but you don't want to go there. You do not want, although we had arranged parking for you, you don't want to go there. Now you want to go somewhere. I didn't complain. You never hear me come and complain. You never hear me come. I treat you with the dignity of a former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition. That's not the same I can say for you. I can't say the same for you. But so don't play as if I said you. I never said so. Mr. Speaker. Exactly. So, Mr. Speaker, talking about constitutional reform, Mr. Speaker. in August 2015, and I want that to go on the record when they're speaking about constitutional reform and who is interested in constitutional reform. In August 2015, the House of Assembly passed a resolution in August 2015 where a parliamentary committee was established to identify and agree to amendments to the St. Lucia Constitution. August 2015, after a commission had been formed led by the late Justice Susie Dovey. When the commission report came in 2015, we formed, the leader of government business, Prime Minister at the time, formed the parliamentary committee in 2015 to identify and agree to amendments of the St. Lucia Constitution. After we had a debate in this honorable house, some of us did not agree with some of the things that were in the Constitution, in the report from Susie Dovey. Some of us did not agree. There were some issues we did not agree with. So again, in the interest of discussion, the Prime Minister said, listen to me, let's form a committee in August 2015, let's form a committee for us to discuss and come back with it. It's on the record. You can read it if you want. You can read it if you want. 2015. The elections came in June 2016, and the people spoke, and as usual, the Labour Party always accepts what the people say, and we will, and we come back again. That's our style. We understand opposition. We've been there. We fight hard. We fight hard in opposition. We fight hard without defame and denigrate. We fight hard. We fight very hard. 2016 came, we lost the election. So we buckled down and we begin to fight with our soldiers. You invited me to a public discussion on constitutional reform to be done on NTN, a public discussion. I was leader of the opposition. I didn't think I was too big, or you were too big from the city view. I didn't discard you and disregard you and play as if that's who are you. I respected you as Prime Minister. I went to the debate. I sat next to you. We discussed the constitutional reform in public, in a public domain. I said what I had to say. You said what you had to say. At that time, I'm not going to mention a certain lady was Attorney General. After you allow her to sit down outside your office for the whole day, you don't want to come into cabinet meetings. Left outside. When a certain member of the party said to you, you cannot do an esteemed attorney that. You can't leave us sitting down outside the cabinet from 9 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the night and you come inside, come inside. When you stopped, you took her and you made her chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee. You made her. You wanted to get rid of her from Attorney General the same way you did with the Cabinet Secretary. First time in St. Lucia's history had ever happened. Anyhow, you're a historic guy. So we had, that committee was formed, and then we nominated 2 members on that committee, the opposition, Calix George Jr. and Claudius Francis. We nominated them. We wrote you. We wrote the chairman of the committee, the lady, the coordinator, the learned attorney, and said, these are our members. We're ready. She wrote me back before her contract was over and said she's frustrated because you never appointed anybody. And he set it up. You never appointed anybody to that committee. And you're talking about interested in constitutional reform? But let's go further. When we got back into government in July 2021, the matter of constitutional reform was still on the table. So we revived that and by a letter written to the Honorable, can I say his name or Leader of the Opposition? Can I say his name? Can I read the letter? The Honorable Alan Shasley, Leader of the Opposition and member for Microsoft. He was Nora House, Point Seraphine Castries. That's where the office is, not Selby Street. On the other, it was too close to Mondidon. Can't be there. One demonstrating Marchand. Dear Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I have been directed by the Honorable Speaker of the House of Assembly to bring to your attention resolution of the House of Assembly dated August 25th, 2015, where a parliamentary committee was established to identify and agree to amendments to the St. Lucia Constitution. The constitution of the parliamentary committee, as authorized by Parliament, is as follows. 3 representatives of the government of St. Lucia selected by the Prime Minister. 2 representatives of the opposition selected by the Leader of the Opposition. 3 advisors from civil society appointed by the Prime Minister on behalf of the government. 2 advisors from civil society appointed by the Leader of the Opposition on behalf of the opposition. 2 existing or former senators, whether currently appointed or previously appointed by the government, opposition, or the Governor General, as the case may be. 1 selected by the Prime Minister and the other by the Leader of the Opposition. The drafting expertise will be selected by the parliamentary committee to advise on potential drafts agreed to by the committee. In keeping with the passage of this resolution, please advise the Parliament of your nominees to the committee to allow the committee to formally begin its work as mandated by the resolution of Parliament. Thank you for your timely consideration on this important matter, and we look forward to receiving the nomination on or before October 8, 2022. Yours faithfully, Clerk of Parliament acting. I want to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition whether he ever replied to that letter. I'll sit to give him time to answer. I yield the floor. Voluntary. To ask the leader whether he ever answered that letter. Mr. Speaker, I guess you're not answering. I'm sure you heard me. Not answering. And you talk about not responding to letters. A letter on the Constitution of St. Lucia. You don't have the courtesy. At least, when you wrote me, I sent an email and say, I received a letter. I did that. You know, I know it. You know, I know it. You see, the problem is you expect you either forget or you deliberate. Because you know very well that I emailed you anytime you wrote me and I acknowledge the receipt of your letter. And if you want, I can put it up for you now. Evidence. Just say it's not true. Anytime you write me, I acknowledge your letter. You didn't even acknowledge the receipt of the Speaker's letter, you know. And you come and talk about respect. The Speaker wrote you in September. You never even said, Mr. Speaker, I've received your letter. And you never appointed anybody, not from when you were Prime Minister or as Leader of the Opposition. I talk about constitutional reform. And you talk about being serious about constitutional reform. You're not even acknowledging letters they write you because the people decide that you're Leader of the Opposition, not Prime Minister. So, Mr. Speaker, so this matter of constitutional reform, and further, I'll tell you what we did more about constitutional reform. When we go into government, we appointed an ex-judge to look at the Constitution and to find areas where we could amend without having to go into referendums, etc. The areas we could amend, the areas we could look at the referendum. And she made a report available to us. That's how serious we are about constitutional reform. That's how serious we are about constitutional reform. We put our money and our deeds where we thought necessary when we spoke about constitutional reform, Mr. Speaker. So this is just another part of the process towards constitutional reform. And my people, and I'm making a plea again in public, the Leader of the Opposition, to appoint members to that Constitutional Review Commission. It's very clear. Appoint members. Let's talk. Let's talk. Don't go around on Facebook and defame people. Let's talk. Let's talk like men and women. St. Lucia doesn't belong to you, doesn't belong to me. It belongs to St. Lucia. If the people decide that they don't want you, accept it. And let's get matured and talk about the country thing in a serious way. We understand the politics. Of course the politics will be pecan and of course. But this deliberate misinformation, this deliberate distortion of facts for political nature, we stop it. Stop it. It didn't help you when you were in government. Wouldn't help you now in opposition. You came and you distort all the facts. Say all what you can say about 6 of us. We still beat you 14-2. So lies don't work in politics. Lies don't work. What works in politics is commitment. Commitment and hard work, not lies and fabrications. And trying to burn it down just because you don't have it. The Constitution is a serious matter. Let's talk about it. Appoint your members so we can have a discussion, Mr. Speaker. Finally, here goes the propaganda. We are changing the Constitution to give a job to one of our comrades. Here is a man who appointed people here is a man who violated Section 46 of the Constitution. The poor speaker one day, Mr. Speaker, you know the speaker had to live here almost in a stretcher because the poor lady sat there for hours. Because Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the former speaker or the speaker generally. We come and we have to talk about, Mr. Speaker doesn't respect people and he had to walk out because Mr. Speaker, listen to me. I have sat in this honorable house on several occasions with that speaker where he has chastised Castries South and Castries Central and said to them, do not say that, withdraw, if not, I'll ask you to sit. And obediently, they say, I withdraw, Mr. Speaker, and continue. Happens several times. But you say, what you want? I'm not doing it. You did so to both of your speakers. You did so to the speaker, the lady speaker, and the men several times. I'm not doing it. What you want? That's how you are. That's why you are. You are. You understand? Because you believe that you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and get away with it. So when people talking about speakers, we have never called this speaker in cabinet and chastised him. We've never called him in the cabinet and tell him, do this, do that, never do this, never do that. All the time.
And he still knows make you
Understand? Because you see, Mr. Speaker,
he's in government.
now instead of, so when the surrogates on the outside talk about the speaker, as if all of a sudden they have so much reverence for the speaker. The things you did, your own speaker, but you know what? They are afraid of you. So, Mr. Speaker, without a deputy speaker, the poor speakers, I feel sorry for them. I hope their bladder is good now. Because they have to sit down there. Sit down there. Especially when we're talking. It's 2 hours we're talking for. They had to sit there because he refused to appoint a deputy speaker. Refused. And one day I came here and I nominated the member for Sufre to be deputy speaker. Because then member for Sufre. Because I felt sorry for the speakers. The poor lady used to be there shuffling a chair. I said, oh Lord. Because of your own self-righteousness, you refuse to appoint a deputy speaker. And now you're appointing one, jobs for the comrades. So what? If a member has the historic feat of winning the Miku North seat. He deserves to be in the cabinet. That's history. That young man made history. And to make it worse, he made it after he got himself in an accident. And you and your party, after you did the hypocritical thing, when the accident just happened, your party ridiculed him. Your party ridiculed him. And up to now, you're still doing it. Call him one leg this and one leg that. And then say that he has property by a van. Up to now, when we come here and talk about this righteous thing, and oh my God, these guys live a party, your guys are wicked. After he committed, he had the man from Mykonos had an accident, you know. He lost his leg. He ran the election and he won. So he deserves to be in the cabinet. Because you put people in the cabinet that I beat twice. And you put them in the cabinet. And you arrange a contortion of department thing just to put them in the cabinet. And a man who run cluster, and a man who run one election, came from being a number one in his class as a police officer, just like my father. Which you all don't want me to say. A man who won his seat on historic. John, come and say that you lose. A man that won that seat, you say he doesn't have a right to be in the cabinet? And we have jobs for the comrades? We have jobs for a comrade who deserves it. Yes. And when the time comes, I make that decision. I will decide who will be in the cabinet or who will be out. Not you. And I can invite Bradley to be in my cabinet too. I can invite a member for sure self to be in my cabinet too. He mightn't take it, but I can invite him. That's the prerogative that the people give me. So don't predict jobs for the comrade, trying to dirty the waters. That's what you do. So you see, Mr. Speaker, so this amendment is meant basically, Mr. Speaker, to make things right. To do things the right way, to do things the organized way, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, finally, I always want to mention a member from Miku South, from Castries, Vifor South, who always spoke about following the Constitution and doing things the right way. I remember him saying, telling the people, if you're dissatisfied, take the government to court. If you think your rights are infringed, violated, take the government to court. I remember I said, but how you can tell people to take the government? He said, yeah, that is their rights, go to court. So we're doing it the right way, Mr. Speaker, the correct way. I want to urge members to support it, Mr. Speaker. And I think, and if you have any measure of manliness, you must support it too. Don't just get up there and attack. You must show a level of humility in politics. That's your problem. You must be a little magnanimous in the politics of the country. You must be able to say, I made a mistake. I apologize. I withdraw. Say that. That doesn't make you a less of a man. Say it. Say, I apologize. Say, I made a mistake. If you had done that, you wouldn't be where you are today. Because all you had to say the member for Castries Central, I made a mistake. I thought so, it wasn't so. I made a mistake. That's all you had to say. That's all you know. Nothing would happen. But you insist in something you know is not true, but you insist in saying it. Because you believe you can say it because you are who you think you are. And that's the problem, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I urge all members to support it, including the member for Choiseul and the member for Microsoft, because it's a historic day. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.